Hello Total War and Warhammer fans, and welcome to my faction guide for the Warden and the Paunch, the newest DLC for Warhammer II launching on the 21st of May. The aim of this video is to give you the best possible side-by-side comparison and breakdown of the new factions, legendary lords and gameplay mechanics, which this DLC brings to the game. I'm going to go into details of the Eltharion the Warden and his Yvresse faction of High Elves, and Grom the Paunch and his Broken Axe tribe of Greenskins. Do note that with this paid DLC also comes free content in form of a legendary lord for the High Elves, the Lord of Dragons himself, Imric. My name is Peter, and for anybody new to my channel, I welcome you and would love to see you stick around, subscribe and share your ideas, suggestions and comments on any of my old or future videos, which cover everything from game guides like this one, to previews, let's plays and tutorials on all kinds of strategy, simulation and building games. But you're here for more Total War content, so let's not waste any more time and dive straight into the specifics of the new characters, the two new legendary lords. Grom the Paunch is a self-styled goblin king, but in reality he's just a war boss who is unique for his amazing size among goblins.
Biggest, meanest gobbo ever!
The story goes that he grew to this size after eating uncooked troll meat, and now he must relentlessly eat copious amounts of food to keep constantly digesting the regenerating flesh so his massive protruding belly doesn't burst open. This cool piece of lore sets up a new and unique cooking mechanic for Grom, which you can experience as you lead the Broken Axe tribe of Greenskins on their new Grom's War, which replaces the regular war. And just to make it easier for me to not have to say war each time that is in my script, I'm going to use this handy sound effect. In the other corner, on the side of the sea to be more in line with the lore, we have Eltharion the Warden.
I am sworn to avenge.
A dour but beloved ruler of his High Elves faction, Yvresse. He and Grom have met before on the battlefield, as Eltharion was instrumental in stopping the legendary led by Grom himself, and for this he was elected as the Warden of Tor Yvresse. His unique gameplay mechanic allows him to improve the prison back home, part of the Athel Tamarach, his home base. This ruin can be reconstructed and used for defense as well as imprisonment of captured enemies. Through questioning, vanquishing and indoctrination, Eltarion can gain various info and benefits from the prisoners. High Elf interrogations are not for those of faint of heart. Luckily, those they imprison rarely even have a heart, or a pulse for that matter. Before I go into more details about Grom the Paunch, I want to mention the remade and the new salvage gameplay mechanics. The Greenskins has been reworked in such a way that it is now a resource to be gathered and used as an ability when it reaches critical mass. There is also a very interesting twist in that a close defeat will grant you more progression points than an easy victory, which makes total sense if you look at how a horde of Greenskins runs on rage and hatred alone. Salvage is another type of resource collection and spending mechanic. Greenskins faction can now salvage items from the battlefield or settlements. This new resource can be used to upgrade units in many different ways and unlock special technology nodes. There are also many new units in this DLC, but to cover them properly, I must do another dedicated video, one for High Elves and Greenskins each. The free content coming along with this DLC is a legendary High Elf lord, Imric. In Imric's campaign, dragon markers will randomly spawn near Imric. The player can choose to interact with these markers and will be presented with a dragon taming battle. Through victory in these battles, Imric will gain access to special dragon units to command. Along with his own dragon, in Einhir, he is a formidable opponent in combat. This is something I must also go into more detail in a separate video. When it comes to the specifics of Grom the Paunch's faction, their relations with the High Elves is naturally rotten and warring. Being a goblin himself, Grom has an easy time recruiting more goblin units to his armies. His personal has the chance to spawn pump wagons, which are basically goblin versions of Mad Max with exploding mushrooms to give it that Warhammer flavor. As for Grom personally, his girth is so large he goes everywhere on his chariot and can't dismount. His leadership aura keeps the Greenskins in battle for longer, especially against High Elves, and makes them a bit tougher in a fight. Or maybe they're just afraid he will run them over if they flee from battle, so they fight with more fervor. His knowledge of chariots and wagons makes them cheaper to maintain in his army. so feel free to recruit your own army of mad goblin drivers. The Eltharion faction also has many special features. Their hatred towards Greenskins is well known, so diplomacy options are limited to war now and war later. There are the Mists of Yvresse, which can be used to cloak Eltharion and his allies' lands in a defensive shroud, bonus ranks when recruiting spear infantry and range units, and the access to the dungeon of Athel Tamarach I mentioned earlier. There are also two types of powerful mounts for lords added in this DLC. Barded Lithimar Steed, an extremely light yet resilient material. Lithimar gives the same protection as heavy steel but without slowing down its wearer. And Stormwing on each Eltarian rides. This creature rakes and claws with savagery at enemies, practically being an extension of Eltharion himself and another weapon. Lord Eltharion has some powerful buffs on his own, especially for his spear infantry and rangers, who get more melee defense and leadership. For Eltharion, Greenskins are dirt under his foot.
This is our sworn duty.
And he has a personal vendetta against them. This is why they fear him in battle, and he is immune to the barren wasteland attrition effects, as until his revenge is served, he will not stop. Grom has two unique items, one being the Lucky Banner, along with his Night Goblin standard bearer Niblet, whose legends say once somehow survived being set on by Grom himself. And the second, Axe of Grom, which he uses like a butcher's cleaver to make tasty cuts of meat out of his rivals. This meat he cooks using different recipes in his own cauldron. You can find many recipes, and the more he cooks and eats, the stronger he and his entire army gets. You can even get a special unit for your army in this way. Ingredients for these recipes you can find during your campaign and also buy from the Troll Hag food merchant. Things like this really show you the depths of the Warhammer lore, and why this is a game that just keeps on giving amazing content years and years after its initial release. If you are a Total War fan and at the same time a Warhammer fan, I bet things like this give you blissful joy. On the High Elf side, Eltarion can use Fanged Sword of Eltharion. This rune-encrusted longsword has been passed down through Eltharion's family for generations, bestowing unto him the zeal of his forefathers. Or so the lore books would have us believing. Elves do tend to dip cool stories into legends and add some mystique for flavor, so you can never know if something is in fact fiction or not. No, I do not have anything personal against those stuck-up pointy-eared know-it-alls, thinking they are the only worthy... sorry, where was I? Yes, I got nothing against them, nothing at all. Eltarion can also get his hands on the Helm of Yvresse, the ceremonial crown of he who protects Yvresse's ancient metropolis, which is an inspirational symbol of the dogged High Elf determination. Besides that, there is the Talisman of Hud, a finely wrought medallion which allows its wearer a measurement of the original Warden's magical knowledge, the lore of high magic, to aid him or her in the guardianship of Yvresse. Grom's unique skills are in line with the lore background of this DLC. He can get better item drop chance and more income from sacking settlements, more armor and speed for his chariots and pump wagons, and his hatred for High Elves is so well known that they lose morale in a fight with his army and take longer to heal. The reverse is true for his goblins, who get higher morale, especially if Grom is fighting right beside them. They can also get higher melee attack and will stand up even to large enemies. Grom himself can get more hit points and physical resistance, while enemies he runs over lose half their charge bonus. Eltarion's skills are similarly powerful and specialized. For himself, he can get more armor-piercing weapon damage and speed, reduce enemy leadership and public order in a local region he attacks. For his units, he can buff their armor on a defensive battle and give shielded units a universal armor bonus. Missile units get the unending volley ability from him, while the other units get Grim Discipline ability with expert charge defense attribute. Mistwalker units get missile strength increase, stock attribute and vigor loss reduction. On the campaign map, he can move faster and recruit more units at a lower price. Being a warden and all, he helps reduce construction time and cost for walls and garrison buildings. I have to admit that this DLC brings some of the most imaginative and interesting game features and totally new gameplay mechanics. High Elves and Goblins couldn't be more different, and even if you have a favorite already, I bet you will play this conflict from both perspectives. I have to use this opportunity to thank Creative Assembly for the opportunity to preview this DLC early and make this guide. And I want to thank all of you for watching this video and supporting my channel. I wish you happy gaming and many successful